Hey everybody, RP here. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to print, assemble, and prep this dome piece, this R2-D2 dome piece, so we can get ready for paint. Here we go. So printing, 3D printing, there's some tricks to it, and specifically when it comes to post-production. The smoother your prints are when you pull them off the machine, the easier it's going to be to sand and prep for paint. I have two printers, a Creality CR10S and an Elegoo Neptune 3 Max, and I've been pulling some amazing prints off of my printers. You can see just how smooth this is. This is one of the R2 little pieces that go into the dome, and to get the print to be this smooth, it's not really that difficult. I have some videos, use some tips about how to calibrate your printer. It's not always about Cura settings. Everybody wants to say it's about Cura settings, but these smooth prints come off and it really makes it nice. So I'm not going to go into how to calibrate your printer. What I'm going to show you is on the dome piece, how to set it up the way I sliced it on my printer, and what it looked like when it came off, how I put the dome together, and how I then got it ready for primer so that we can move on to the paint stage. So let me show you what I have done in terms of the configuration of setting up the STL files on the print bed. So here we have the STL files of the dome. I have three pieces. This is for my Elegoo Neptune 3 Max. You can see that they're set up, and it's big enough that I can set it up that way. On my CR10S, I've got one dome piece, and you can tell that these are all sliced so that you can fit them on different sized printers. But at the end of the day, once they're printed, you need to pull them together, and I'm going to show you how I did that and got them all seamed up so that it fits tightly and then filled in for primer. In case you're curious how I did the pie slices, essentially I laid them flat and I let the printer do the rest of the work, and they came out extremely smooth. Now we have everything printed. We're just going to dry fit everything just to test it. It looks great. The parts look great. The pieces fit great. There's R2. It's coming along now. This is really exciting. It's progressing quite nicely. Now let's talk about what it's going to take to sand these before we start actually permanently putting them together. Okay, I just going to walk you through the process of sanding these pieces. You can see that having a smooth 3D printed piece is going to be beneficial in the sanding process. Usually I start out with 80 grit sandpaper, then work my way to 120. This is so smooth that I think I'm just going to go right for the 120 on my palm sander and see what that gets us. It should be pretty efficient. So let's just see what we've got here. Horrible, I'm sure, but that's it. Hardly any time at all, and 120 just got that. So any imperfections are gone. I'm probably going to hit this now with 220 and it's going to be ready for primer. So having a smooth print is going to make the world of difference in sanding. People complain about sanding. I'll tell you, it's not fun, and this project is going to have a lot of it. But if you have your printer dial in, and it's not just Cura settings, it's how well you have the printer tuned and calibrated, it's going to give you remarkable results like this, so that you don't spend the rest of your life printing or sanding. So yeah, just thought I would share that quickly with everybody. And hopefully that's going to give you some good pointers. Okay, 7 pieces and 4 minutes later, less than a minute a piece. It was very quick. These are all sanded, and yeah, it just takes hardly any time at all if you've got smooth prints. So there we go. Okay, I'm working on the dome piece and getting that glued together. It's now all sanded. I'll have to do a little bit of spot putty and filling. But to get these glued together, the file comes pre-configured with a 1.75 millimeter hole. You can see the hole there. Your standard filament is 1.75 inches in diameter. So I just cut little teeny guides, and I'm going to line these up and glue them together, and then try to keep them stable with some clips. If these are big enough, they might not be. I might have to find some bigger clips. But yeah, here we go. I'm using this CA glue, and it has an accelerator. This stuff is amazing, but you've got to work quickly with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray on the side that does not have the pins some accelerator. Okay, so that's on, and now I'm going to put the glue on the side that does have the pins. And you want to be careful there. Let me see if I can get this detail. There's a little pinhole. Again, this is for one of these pieces of filament, and when this glues together, it's going to make that little hole complete, and you don't want to put glue in there. Okay, so just sparingly there we go, and then we'll have to do some filling on the seams, which is it's fine, no big deal. And there you go. So I'll just need to fill that in, which is no big deal. Needed to do it anyway, and that's really sturdy. So for the dome, we're just going to simply glue on one side, accelerator on the other, and then where you have these holes, we're going to take an M4 screw, washer, and nut, and just secure them together. And I'm going to hold them in place with this clamp. So if I turn this around, after this glues, this clamp is just going to hold them together. So here we go. Just these flat, and we don't have a lot of time to work with this stuff, so you gotta be quick. Get it lined up, squeeze it together. and put in the screws. So on the outside, you just want to snug them up. That's about it. Little tight area here. So here we go. Snug them up. And then when you look on the back side, camera angle here, this is nice and smooth, nice seam. Obviously we'll have to do some filler work, but that's fine. Okay, I've gone in and added some plastic welding to those seams. This part on the upper dome was split in half, and then I've plastic welded each of the connecting points, so that is nice and solid now. Now I just have to fill in these lines. Fill in these lines with some wood filler and sand it. But yeah, that's going to be nice and sturdy. It's coming along. I'm not going to lie. That was a pain in the butt. Trying to get this thing to line up wasn't so difficult. It's just that I just needed a bigger workspace. But everything is glued, and you can see the screws. I don't have all the screws in. I'm just using these to temporarily hold it in place until the glue sets, and then I'm gonna Loctite these. I should have just gotten lock nuts. Oh well. And I have to go in now and start filling all of these joints. One thing I was worried about is how well the printer actually printed these pieces. And that's going to be determined by two things. How well does everything line up, which it lines up really well, and how well do these pipe pieces go back in, which they go in perfectly. So one thing that you have to always consider is if you're going to print with two different printers, you got to make sure that those printers are so dialed in that they perform almost identically. Otherwise, you're going to have some pieces that are a little bit off from on one printer compared to the other. And I am very happy to say that that was not the case with mine. So I have all these pie pieces printed or sanded. Those I've got to paint before I do anything. But yeah, if anybody is curious about the amount of time it took me to sand, now you know that these were very quick. These pieces are much larger. I spent 2.42 hours sanding everything that you see that's gray. And that's really not a lot of time considering how big these pieces were. And the reason being is I had really smooth prints. So sanding is just part of the gig. It just is. But yeah, it's coming along and it is looking awesome. I've got this all sanded down, and you can see these seams that need to be filled in. So what do I use? Well, a lot of people use different kinds of Bondo. I simply use plastic wood filler. But you take essentially a dab on your finger and you start to work it into the line or the seam. But I take a little ramekin of water and I just dip my finger in there just so that I can spread the wood filler a little bit more evenly. I'll go through all of this, including up here And then we'll get it sanded, and you can see now that that hole's covered. Of course, this needs to get smoothed out and sanded, and you kind of want to feather the edges and make sure everything's ready for primer. It's nice and smooth. So I'll go around and do all of this and then show you what it looks like. So as you can see, I have all my seams sealed up there with that wood filler. I did the top as there were some slight layer lines. I got all the seams here. Basically, we just let this set up now and let it dry, and come back, hit it with some sandpaper, smooth it out, and then rinse and repeat. Do it again. So this is dry now, and I'm just going to take some 320 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to knock down some of these edges. And there you have it. Probably is going to need another coat. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, there will be some rinse and repeat in this process. It's, you know, you got to just take your time, and you're looking to get that line invisible. And the more you build this up, sand it, smooth it, build it up, the better and smoother that's going to be. And pretty soon that line, it's going to be like this. It'll virtually disappear. Back inside, and I'm just going to show you. I don't know if you can, I'll try to grab the camera. If you can see those little imperfections, it's basically just skimming a coat of filler on top of that. Cool. This is how I get my seams out and smooth out everything. And I will tell you that it works. How do I know that it works? Because that's what I did with this suit. Same technique. It works. Now, if you remember these blue pie plates, these aren't going to take much of anything at all. There might be a couple of little areas that I'll lightly put some filler on. So I'm just going to fill this now with some filler primer. You can get the Duplicolor, but Rust-Oleum is fine, and it's cheaper. It works great. So I'll have to do a couple of coats of this, but here we go. We got the first light coat, and it looks good, but you can see a couple of areas that I'm going to need to fill in. And a little rough right here, but this is the process. You know, finding some of the weak spots and get it completely smooth. So we'll do another coat of this and then let it dry, and then put some more filler on it, sand it down, maybe another coat, and then sand it down again. I've got a second coat of primer on the dome, and it's looking pretty good. Just looking to see where I've got seams. You can tell where this is screwed together. The seam would have come right up here. And I mean, you can't tell there was any seam there at all. And there's another one, which means it would have come right up here. And there's the top of the seam. No seam. So this is looking really good. I did have a little, yeah, there it is, right there. I'm gonna have to fill that in, no big deal. But other than that, this is coming along great. There you have it. That pretty much does it. This is ready for paint. You've got these top pieces that are sanded, primed. You've got the shell that's sanded, primed. I need to get to some of these other pieces that are going to go in here and the part on top. But that's it. You can use this process for any 3D printed project. Anything that you're going to 3D print, this process applies. So we'll get the rest of the pieces all sanded and primed for the helmet, and then we'll start moving to the paint job. So thanks for joining. Like and subscribe. Leave any comments. I will read them, get back to you with any questions that you might have. And hopefully this taught you something that you can apply into your 3D printing hobbies. Thanks.